Welcome to Bob Talk once again. My name is Rio Raymond, and this time in my company is someone who used to be like a ball in the football field back then, but now he's a ball of energy in the Kannada industry. What do I call you? Tiger?
Bobby.
Jaggu? Booby was back then. And of course, like everybody knows him as Anirudh Acharya. Thank you so much for coming by, buddy.
It's a pleasure.
Why do you sound so soft, Bugger? This is not you at all.
Okay, I'll be loud enough.
So, Anirudh, you've been in the industry for the longest time. You have like
No, dude, there have been people who are long.
I mean, you've been in the industry for the longest time. I mean, to say like this year has been something that's like put you on.
This year has
to the
been
mantle.
the year that I've always waited for.
Right? And as much as I knew that you were in the industry for like say from when you started off to where you are, but before that, in school, as much as we know, you're not one of those guys who was into something like this, into movies. Although you have like a history of art form in terms of movies and all that.
In
theater,
terms of my grandparents and stuff like that.
right? But you seem more like a nerd to me in school.
Nerd?
Yeah.
No, dad.
You're not a nerd.
No.
You were more like a nerd.
No,
I mean,
dude.
at least for me, you were a nerd.
You know there was a person in our school who was from a Chinese origin.
Okay, what about that now?
He scored more than me in Kannada. Okay, so I was not a nerd at all.
But irrespective, for me, anybody who was above me was a nerd. You know how my marks are.
Hey, we were all the same, dad. Chill.
From the same batch in school, of course. But that's it. We never saw this side of you that you were into this artistic field of getting into movies.
It has a lot to do with my mother.
Lineage.
No, with my mother.
Okay.
She shut off TV access to us, me and my brother, and she started making me watch a lot of plays.
Right.
So it started with watching plays, and fortunately for me, it was at the same time that Rangashankara had started, and Rangashankara was very close to my house.
Right.
So she started making me watch a lot more plays, and what started off as watching plays became, why not go on stage? I had no intention to be in front of the camera at all, actually.
I think it's more of this idea that, when you watch something for a consistent period of time, then you also want to be a part of it in some way or the other.
Exactly.
Right? And that's how you got into theatre. And theatre was what? After school, I'm guessing, because I don't think you were anyway artistically inclined during school.
No, actually, I'll tell you a very nice story. After school, I joined Jain College PUC.
I know how you hesitated to say that.
Because the girl that I'm going to talk about is married now, so I'm not going to drop her name, but she was very pretty, and they had a theatre club, which was not very great or anything, but it was just a theatre club. So I joined that place, and she was doing backstage, and she's very pretty. So that encouraged me to
be backstage.
On stage, backstage, whatever happens.
Did it happen?
No, dude. But we did go on a couple of dates, and then I realized something else.
That you're better off spending your time on stage.
No. I'm still a romantic. I'm a hopeless romantic. But something else happened. Apparently, she was related to me.
The South Indian trauma that kicks in a lot of us, doesn't it?
Especially in my community of people, you're always related because somebody is marrying somebody from the same community, So she was from the same community, and apparently I was related. And
I don't know what kind of a heartbreak that is, because I have never.
It was never a heartbreak for me. It was for her.
But I thought you also liked her.
I loved her.
Then why is that?
I think it was infatuation, but back then,
like puppy love.
Yeah, dude, it was like that, and I asked her out on the street, and we went for a walk. She said, "You cannot convince me this easily," and all that. She went for a small walk and came back. By then, I had found my first date.
Well, I don't know.
We're from a boys' school. You know how our hormones were.
Tell me about it. We're from the same batch, man.
Yeah.
But so there's just one thing about a lot of people that I want to understand, especially in terms of the industry, is you are not artistically inclined for a really long time. Like, you played cricket. No one will believe if they saw pictures of you back
even
then.
if I played cricket, people still not believe that I was playing cricket.
That's what I said. No one believes to look back at your pictures from then.
Yeah.
But over time, to be getting into this thing, of course, I understand you get inspired by somebody else performing on stage, and you want to be on stage. You get about going and do that. Somewhere, do you think, was this like your entry into the movie business, or was it something that you just wanted to pursue?
I think initially it started off as something that I wanted to give back to my parents in terms of not believing, because when you start playing cricket, back then parents were savage. They would say, "Hey, you're a cricketer. You're not Dravid or Sachin or something." But Dravid was
Same
from
school.
a same school.
I was going to say that.
So it started off like that. It was like a rebellion that was sort of brewing in my own self. When I went to theatre, it was also a rebellion back then, because my mom said, "Oh, what, you'll be Shah Rukh Khan?" It was like that. I said, this time at least there's no age limit, because sports has a limit. You can only achieve it in this. I can take my time. And I think that's the beauty of this art itself, that you can take your time.
And took your time in various ways. I remember you took your time out from college to go teach in Christ College too. Theatre.
Yeah. I used to bunk my classes to go and teach other people for their classes. So
now, for those of you who are watching, it's not something you do. Don't run amok with what this boy is saying, but because it happens to a few people. Like, you went to teach in Christ College while you were studying.
Yeah.
Okay, just clearing, he went to teach theatre.
Yeah, I went to teach theatre, that's all. Nothing else.
But there's something else that happened, I heard.
Yeah. There's somebody who...
The hopeless romantic is not that hopeless at all.
No, somebody else became a hopeless romantic, and they sort of asked me out, and I thought I'll get into trouble.
But was that the reason you went to Christ College?
No. It was theatre.
Okay.
It was theatre, and it was decent money at that point in time. So I wanted to do this only for the money and the love that I had for theatre.
Right.
And it was always love for theatre, and it will still remain love for theatre all my life. If I can make enough money, I want to have my own space for theatre, because it's a beautiful art space. Everybody confuses it between cinema and theatre. There are two different art forms. Definition will not change. It is still, you're pretending to be somebody else.
Only the surrounding would change.
Your surrounding will change. The craft of it will change, because it's camera. Camera sees you in different ways. If you focus on my eyes only, then you'll see a red spot.
We are not going to get into that in that much of details as well, because when you mention that, people think, "Yaro Guru," you know.
Yeah, in theatre you use your entire body. In cinema, whatever is seen is only seen.
Like whatever is given to you is what you get.
Yeah.
Now, so you started teaching in Christ College while bunking your classes, and what were you studying or pursuing at that time?
At that time I was studying bachelor's in computer application.
Has this bachelor's been completed?
And I'm still a bachelor.
Aren't we all?
Yeah.
Bachelor in life or in the computer applications that have not been applied well?
It's a BL, bachelor's in life.
People around BL will be thinking, you know.
Hey, nammam bro.
But this is where I think, I don't know about people who go down this path that, you know, who stay bachelor for the longest time, or who had these breakups, tend to have a lot of...
Aren't there so many married men who still behave like that?
No, I'm not talking about lust. I'm talking in terms of more of, you know, sounding very philosophical, sounding, you know, like...
That really depends on what you're having.
Not having anything, man. That's the only reason I'm saying people end up doing this or saying this. Like, when you see online too, right? You see a lot of people, you know, bursting out with a lot of lines that, you know, tend to touch people who've had like one-side love stories, or people who have had a breakup, people who've gone through something like this. So, did you ever have something like this?
A lot of times.
And were you also someone who's very philosophical at that point in time?
Not philosophical. I think I was so close to reality that I didn't need philosophy. With nothing, it has to enter here and here, not go above. So I was not like that.
Like you were, you had clarity in what you were doing.
She didn't like me, dude.
You can't force it on someone.
Yeah, you can. I mean, that is now a criminal offense also.
So now that you mentioned to me about your bachelor's in computer applications became bachelor's in life, which means that you have not finished the bachelor's that you pursued.
I'll continue to be a bachelor.
See, I'm not going down the road where you say, okay, I'm going to do my master's and all that. Okay. But now that you said that
Masters is what I want to create.
a masterpiece movie, maybe.
And master small Acharya.
This boy, I'll tell you what, this happens when you have a lot of wisdom coming through from a certain monk that you get in touch with. And I can see where that is going. But Mr. Anirudh Acharya, or do I say booby? School to college is where you're figuring out things in life. Now you've done.
Actually, you're not figuring out that time at all.
Maybe you're thinking what you would want to do.
Everybody else is doing the thinking for you at that period. You don't have a choice on the school that you want to go.
No, I'm saying, for example,
you don't have a choice on the streams that you want to take. I'm very happy. There are some people now who are taking that chance of telling, no, this is what I want to pursue. Like my nieces are taking decisions on what they want to pursue. One of them, they're twins, and one of them said, I want to get into aeronautical, and the other one is, I want to do economics. Okay.
You eventually needed education to split them.
Yeah.
No, but what I was saying is, yes, of course. But of course, what I was saying is, when you are in school and then you get into college, we are, at least in our generation, it was about going into a certain stream based on what somebody else is doing or based on what somebody else wants you to do.
Yeah.
There were a few people who decided, okay, this is what I want to do, this is what I'm going to end up pursuing and stuff. But as you get into that process, right, when you're probably towards the fag end, if you're getting into another course of sorts. Fag end of it, my friend. Don't think of the otherwise, right? So when you're getting towards this side, you end up thinking, okay, which direction do I go? Is this working right for me? Sometimes people sacrifice their dreams, their ambitions to get into a very monotonous job sort of a scene, right? For you, I understand there was always this artistic background.
There might be monotony in what they're doing, but the way it was shown to them was very different. It was
fair enough.
Having a house for themselves.
What they call, or rather used to call, being settled in life.
Yeah.
Right? So that is what was being sold. That is what is being, advocated to a lot of people back then. What I'm asking is, I know you as a person, I know, the kind of studies that you pulled off as well in school. So from that, it could have been, okay, should I continue this or do I dive into this path that I find a lot of, passion in, a lot of, potential of what I can do, irrespective of the monies that come in? How was that kind of a call to make?
So when I was doing theatre itself, I met a few people when I was working in the plays. There was a revolution in Bangalore that happened, and it was an independent film movement that was happening. That gave us an opportunity to face the camera without all this pressure that we all have now in terms of commercial cinema.
Right.
This is what it will look like and all that. Because of that movement, that some people, there was digital cinema that was coming in terms of your cameras that were digital, not film anymore. There were computers that could edit it, all that. When it came to that point, there were a lot of Bangalore independent filmmakers who boomed. And I would say Pawan Kumar is one of them. I would say Rishabh Shetty and all those. In that area, I'm telling, Rakshith and everybody were blooming in that era. Especially Pawan Kumar, I'm telling you, because it was what he did in Lucia was a crowd-funded thing. That time, it was just a normal camera that you're using right now to make a film. And they wanted actors like me, who were from theatre, to come and act. And that's all it was. It was a very innocent attempt. Kenneth Sebastian was a part of that era, by the way. We made a film, Arishad Varga, directed by Arvind Kamath, where the editor and the cameraman were the same person. We did multiple roles. I still remember Rishi, who's now Rishi, but back then Monish did makeup for us. Oh, in his part time, like if we wanted everything, if we did each other's role. there would be a guy who was acting in it who would go and fetch us food. It was an independent film movement that you had to do a couple of other things apart from just acting. There is no that kind of money, there's no that kind of budgets being spent also. So I'm lucky I'm a part of that movement.
And let's say it was
And now it's paying off.
It's a revolution in its own sense.
Yeah.
Now, for you to wait this long, let's say you did your debut at about 23. I'm guessing 23 is when you did your debut.
Yeah.
Right.
That was again another independent film.
I know.
And I'll tell you why this previous topic helps. Because the person who directed it was a sound recordist in that other movie, which was Innuendo.
Okay.
Where I worked with Kerry Sebastian, Rishi, Shruti Hariharan was also in that movie. There are some stars now. Harshal Kaushik, who was from Aachar and Co, was also there in it. Madan Ram Venkatesh was back then an AD, but now works for a television channel. There were a lot of people. Aditi Kalkunte, who now was in Mumbai Diaries. All those people were in the same film.
And this is like how many years? Like let's say 13, 14 years ago.
Easily.
Yeah. And from there, but before we get to that point of you transitioning from that first movie or the debut of sorts, right? Independent movement movies and stuff. But somewhere there was this gap from here till here when I say this independent movement thing happened, and then there's also your debut that happened. But in the gaps, you were doing theatre. You were doing...
Yeah, I never stopped.
You never stopped, right? Because theatre was like, your first love at that point in time. Okay, not first love, but a love of its kind.
Yeah, I mean, first love also happened in theatre. So...
Okay, so all of those loves coming together in theatre. Now, from this point to here, to transition, you got into a certain profile or a job out of luck, out of... let's say aggression and nagging from your mom because you were not making the monies.
Yeah.
And you got into casting.
I got into casting.
And what sort of thing?
That itself was another accident.
Oh, yeah, I was going to ask you that. Because I know some of you mentioned to me long back that it was not that I wanted to do it, but somebody else's opportunity fell flat in my laps.
Yeah. So there was a person, Shreyas, who was working for a company, Mohina Singh, who also happened to be my mentor in other ways, was there working, and he wanted a couple of days off, and I on the same day was let's say hounded by my mother because of the lack of the money that I was bringing in. I was too dependent financially
at home,
at home, and they wanted me to work. Because I had dropped out of my profession, of my
college
degree, I didn't have a job that I could apply to. So this was a job that came and sat on my lap. He said, "Can you take my job for 2 days?" That's all it was. And I said, yes. And I got paid decently for that job. And then I became permanent. He lost his job.
Yeah, apparently 2 people lost their job because of your employment.
One was an editor. Because back then it was a DV camera that they were shooting on. And because of a DV camera, they had to get an editor to digitalize it.
Okay.
From tape to digital, and then send it to Mumbai, where the auditions were going to be.
Long process.
So because the DV camera conked off on the first day of my work itself. Then I said, don't have to worry. I'll get my camera in, which is a Canon 550D camera. It has just an SD card. All you have to do is plug it in. You will
get your footage.
I have my laptop. I will do the editing. So the editor and the guy who gave me the job.
Both, because of digitization. Now, how many industries have gone through the digitization, and how many people have lost their jobs?
I don't think a lot of people have lost their jobs.
No, but I think I'll tell you what.
It is also about
learning
about
right. So somewhere some people, like even in terms of digital prints, before we used to have like hand printed banners and stuff. But then over digitization, if you don't evolve, you will never move ahead.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, digitization is a boon for cinema industry.
Absolutely, for any craft.
Any craft. Now we can. Back then they were on reels and they could only shoot 3 or 4 scenes, let's say, for that length of the the film was. Now you can have 23 retakes.
And still chop or whatever you don't
whatever, yeah. So it is not going to cost the production house too much apart from time.
Right.
But if you've got your take within that, great. It's actually a boon. But I'm telling you one thing. The definition of art will never change. If it's cinema, it is still making a narrative, still telling a story visually and with sound.
Right.
It's going to remain the same. Definition is not going to change. With acting as well. If I'm acting on stage, it still means I'm playing somebody else. If it's acting in
front of camera,
it's the the definition will not change. These are all boons. But if you don't adapt to those boons, then you're...
I mean, today it's all about adapting, and I'm not going to deny that.
Not just now, from ever.
Forever. Like, there were times we used to regular cassettes to record them, to then there was CD, then pen drives, and today everything is online. So it's about adaptation. I think we have been part of a generation that has only been part of a revolution that we had to evolve time and again.
Yeah, and that's how we are still here.
And that's how we've been able to, I think, somewhere adapt and also not be able to be stuck in a certain conundrum of saying, okay, we can only do this. We've been able to adapt and move on, right? Now, once you got into this casting job, how easy or difficult was it to get into the thing of finding people? Because I know when I was doing these manpower sort of jobs back then, it was difficult to find people.
Let me be very honest. When I started it off, I loved the job. And I loved the job for a long time.
Right.
It was only towards the end where I was contemplating on what am I doing? I'm casting other actors. Why am I not concentrating on me being an actor? That is exactly when that slide down.
But you were doing casting for movies.
For ads. I've done a couple of movies also. One was, actually one was a Karan Johar film.
Which one?
I mean, he has produced Kapoor and Sons.
Oh, right, that is Alia Bhatt, Siddharth.
Alia Bhatt, and
Fawad Khan.
Fawad Khan. So it was, for me, I'll tell you, every time it was a trick to get people to audition. For this one, that Kapoor and Sons, it was easy for me because all I had to tell women was that Fawad Khan was in the movie.
That was your selling point.
That was my selling point. If I told them, they would get their entire family to come and audition just because that was one ticket.
And then to watch his role in the movie.
Yeah, just to see him. I'm telling you, the kind of fanatism that they have is incredible that cinema has created. There are certain, they'll go to any length. And you have to find that length. If I tell them that Anirudh Acharya is going to be in the movie, they're not going to come.
Definitely.
Fawad Khan,
at least then.
Yeah. Fawad Khan, no, even.
Let's beg to differ.
Fawad Khan, yes. Alia Bhatt, the men. So, we had a trick, okay. You would always ask the women about the men that they can send for auditions. And always the women that they can. That was a trick.
So that was like a trick. This
but when we were doing 20 auditions or 30 auditions, I'm telling you, there's a place in Mumbai called Aram Nagar, which is doing 200 to 300 auditions a day. And I could only pull off 20.
That many number of people are going to Bombay compared to the number
of people are in Bombay only for that profession.
Yeah, and here you don't have that many.
Yeah,
because Bangalore is not, I think, in terms of a very movie-based industry.
No.
It's more into your corporate.
If I told you you had a job for Accenture, I'm sure people from Delhi would have flown in.
Yeah. Okay. But only now, I think, in terms of media and mass media together, that Bangalore, I wouldn't say is flourishing, is slowly opening its doors and, having its waves being seen by a lot of people. Yeah.
I think it is not just if you just look at it, it's not Bangalore. Bangalore, of course, is the key. It's where it happens. But all these people who are
most of them are not from Bangalore.
Not from Bangalore. They're from small towns.
Mangalore, Mysore, various parts of Karnataka.
Udupi. They're from like very, very small places. Okay, and they have Hassan. Dhananjay is from Hassan.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So these are places. And Hondisi director is from Ramnelli, which is a neighboring town to Hassan. These are the people making cinemas. It's not Bangalore.
Not Bangaloreans, yeah. But people end up settling down in Bangalore.
Yeah.
But
it's true for politicians also, by the way. They don't go. Yeah.
Agree.
They only come here to,
and they also contest from their respective cities or districts.
Whatever their constituencies are, but they never stay there. They have a house there.
They had a house there. They will have a house there. They'll probably build a house there, but they want Bangalore.
Bro, Bangalore is like a different kind of a life.
Yeah.
I mean, I've asked this question to a lot of people as well. What does Bangalore mean to you? Emotion, life, home, this, that, and everything. And I think that comes from a place.
I did a play on Bangalore, and that was written by Prakash Balwadi.
Your best friend, best mentor.
Yeah.
My guru, my father. I don't know how many other titles I can give.
I think there's something about people from. I don't know why I keep saying about our generation, but we're very grateful to people who have lifted us, mentored us, given us a certain amount of a pathway, at least get into a certain direction of whatever, or given a chance of sorts. But now coming back to the casting part, movies one side, ads one side. Movies you can get based on the artist. What is your trick in terms of getting people for the ads you were casting? Because I remember the last time you mentioned to me about how it was difficult to get a junior AB de Villiers.
It's always difficult to get a junior AB de Villiers in Bangalore. Okay. Luckily, I was a party person.
I knew certain people who were hosting parties, and one of them turned out to be a person who used to host parties for expats. So I got in touch with him. He sent me an option, and
that boy looked exactly like AB de Villiers when he was
younger.
Yeah.
We did that ad. I mean, we did that ad with a lot of difficulty because where we were shooting was in Wilson Garden.
It was in one of those,
you can imagine how.
Very dingy roads.
Very dingy roads, very small roads.
And it's Arun Cine Studios, where we also hire lights from shore. It's a beautiful studio.
But just the road to it.
It's just the approach to that place is a little,
scary and
spooky for
not us. For people who are
not from
Bangalore.
Yeah, or who don't
belong to
India. So this person, that kid was born to a Russian woman and an Irish guy or something of that sort. So he had perfect features, hair color, everything that was like
matched.
AB de Villiers. Yeah. So when they had to come,
and there's Virat Kohli there, there's AB de Villiers already who's there, there's Chris Gale, there's Mitchell Starc, everybody is there.
And the younger versions.
Younger versions, other ones. Virat Kohli I could easily find, and that kid is still there. We used to call him Junior Digant.
Okay.
He looked exactly like he's a very cute kid.
So where was Chris Gale's younger version from? Kamnali?
No, they found some kid from Bombay who looked like him only.
It was just Mitchell Starc's younger version was a Marwadi boy.
Oh, so much you can do with the cameras. And
I didn't cast.
My intern that was sitting was also a very potential cinematographer in the future. So he was like, these are all tricks, sir.
No tricks. I mean, that boy looked exactly like Mitchell Starc. He had that long legs and thin body and looked like him.
The frame was there.
Yeah, everything was there.
And he was from Bombay. So somebody did the casting from Bombay. I was in charge of getting a Virat Kohli younger version and this AB de Villiers younger version. So I'm on a call and 30 minutes away for the shoot to start. And all the cricketers are already there. Then I get a call and this person who just called me 10 minutes back is not now responding. I'm just guiding the driver to that place. He's not picking now. Like repeated calls and then I called up the guy who put me in touch with them. Then he said, dude, what the hell did you do? I said, what the fuck did I do? I said, no, you fuckers put him off. Said, how? No, that place, that man has gone crazy. He thinks he wants to kidnap. He's going to get kidnapped and it looks like a... Then I said, no, give me the number. I will talk to that guy. So I called up that father of the kid. You think I've not watched enough English movies and all stuff like that where